That's the wrong page. Here we go. Hi. Oh, emails. Hi. Hi, how are we? Good afternoon, everybody. Oh my goodness. I need a blanket. It's cold in here. Hold on. Oh my goodness. There we go. Thank you. I'm wearing blue and purple, so I felt like I needed to match. And it was my boyfriend's idea. I let him pick my eyeshadow color in the mornings, and he chose the combo. Oh my god, that's so loud. Hi. Here we go. Okay. Let's get into it. So, we talked about the aces last week. Not last week. 2 weeks ago. Oh my gosh, it's been 2 weeks. Because I wasn't here last Saturday, right? So, it has been 2 weeks. We are finally getting into the minor arcana. We've been really getting through the major arcana. We just started. So if anyone is kind of getting on now, don't worry. These classes are not linear. You don't have to go to them all in order. We just talk about different cards on different days. So don't worry about it. If you do want to catch up, they're all posted on Instagram. So you can just go back, you can rewatch, you can kind of hang out with me, post, and catch up. So we're going to get into the twos of the major arcana now. That's the way I'm kind of breaking it up. I figured it's the easiest is to break it up by numbers, because for people who weren't here for the last class on the aces 2 weeks ago, I kind of have this method for breaking down the minor arcana that I think makes it a little bit more user-friendly, makes it a little bit easier to understand, and doesn't feel so overwhelming and so stressful when we're first starting it. So the way I like to break it down, I like to break the minor arcana in two. I like to look at the number and I like to look at the suit. And then we go from there. Obviously, all the individual cards have their own individual meanings. But in numerology, two means what it means, across the board. So we can assume, because the tarot uses numerology, that all of the twos are going to follow a similar theme. And if you're new to tarot and you're struggling with the minor arcana, like I did when I was first learning, the minor arcana gave me headaches, it can help, because you might not know, what the Four of Coins means, right? You might not know, but you know that four means stability, and you know that the pentacles are associated with the element of earth, and earth is associated with money. So you can assume, spark noting the Four of Pentacles, that there's financial stability coming, which is true. That is one of the meanings of the Four of Pentacles. There's also a lot more other meanings. There's a lot deeper meanings. Obviously, you're going to miss that if you go this way. But if you're a beginner, if you're just starting, you don't need to worry about the deeper stuff. You'll get to the deeper stuff later. So this is the stuff that I find tends to help when we're first really getting our feet wet with it. Because like I said, the whole minor arcana has a number. You can go with numerology, and also all the minor arcana are broken up into four suits: the wands, the cups, the pentacles, the swords, and each of those suits are connected to an element, the zodiac signs, and cardinal direction. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they're connected to. So it can kind of, again, cheat sheet it. The pentacles, like I said, are the earth element. There are earth signs, our Capricorns or Tauruses or Virgos. Our water signs is the west, which is the water element. That's the cups,
Maybe, can you go help somebody in the upstairs tea section, please?
Oh, it's so loud. There we go. But, with the cups, we see emotions, feelings, the water signs. With the swords, we see the air signs. With the wands, we see the fire signs. So, again, you have a little bit of a cheat sheet. If I have the Ace of Wands, Ace We talked about our opportunities. Wands are our passions. There's probably going to be an opportunity related to the stuff I really care about that's going to be coming down the line, you know, cheat sheeting. So we're going to get into the twos. That's why I break it up the way that I do. So we're going to get into the twos. So in numerology, 2 is a number of choices, balance, extremes. It symbolizes union and togetherness. It also shows duality, you know, 2 is coming together, it also goes apart, kind of goes both ways. Also, you know, balance. This number 2 is connected to the moon. 2 is a number very heavily associated with the divine feminine. It is a number that represents harmony and collaboration. It is the ability to handle adversity and difficulty with poise and with grace. Those are kind of all of the things we see in the number 2. The number 2 is the supreme divine feminine force. And I think that can be best represented in the fact that the high priestess in the minor arcana is the second card. She's number 2. You know, and the high priestess is the supreme divine feminine. So we see where this number kind of sits most at home. Now, since it is such a feminine number, we are going to start with the cups, because the cups are all about our emotions and the cups are very deeply connected to the divine feminine. So when you pull the 2 of cups in a reading, I love the 2 of cups. Let me hunt it down so I can show it to you guys. Now, the 2 of cups, if you are pulling this card and you are just asking for like a super basic yes or no, the 2 of cups is a yes. It is a big, fat, excited yes. You can absolutely do whatever it is you wanted to ask this card about. Other things that we tend to see with the 2 of cups, not only is it a yes, it's a yes because to do so will be deeply emotionally fulfilling. And that's kind of the important thing, is that, you know, because there's so many yeses in the tarot. If you are asking a yes or no card, ask yourself why you pulled that yes or why you pulled that no. So like the Hanged Man, right? The Hanged Man is a yes, but not right now. So pay attention, because if you don't pay attention to the full meaning of the card, you might just ask a yes or no question, pull the Hanged Man, and then jump, and then get upset when the situation doesn't work out for you. And well, of course it didn't work out for you. You didn't wait. You know, the universe said that it was okay. You just had to wait a second. And you would have known that if you had taken a minute to remember what the Hanged Man is also all about and ask yourself why the universe specifically gave you that card as a yes. So, like I said, the 2 of Cups, very excited, yes. It means that whatever you're doing is going to be deeply emotionally fulfilling. Now, this is the art that we see on the original card. I'm just dropping everything today, good lord. Yeah. No thanks. This is the 2 of Cups. You know, we see a man and woman. They are exchanging cups. This is a way of pledging to one another. You know, some people like to interpret this as a marriage. People like to take this a bunch of different ways. Some people like to say they're toasting or they're cheersing or like friends. There's a bunch of, you know, sorry, poor connection. You know, like there's a bunch of different ways. You can look at this romantically, you can look at this platonically, but either way, you know, they are coming together. They are giving each other things. They're looking at each other with love and care and affection. See here, we see this. This is the staff of Hermes. You might recognize it looks a little similar to the staff of Asclepios, which is the staff that we see like on hospitals and EMTs and stuff like that. It's very similar. So this is the staff of Hermes. Hermes and his symbols, usually they're a bunch of different things, because Hermes is a god of messages and he's a trickster god and he's a god of thieves. But he's also a god of commerce and of travel and of exchanging of goods. So this is meant to show commerce and exchange and trade. And now the lion's head all the way up at the top, this is passionate, fiery energy that is kind of overseeing this exchange that's kind of going on between them. So upright, if you were a keyword person, if you like flashcards, if you want to, memorize them with quick, short buzzwords, the Two of Cups is unified love, partnership, mutual attraction, mutual respect, and it's a card of people coming together. So obviously we just got out of the Ace of Cups, we're moving into the Two. The Ace of Cups was an invitation. It was the universe offering us something. This follows that invitation. It shows reunions and new relationships. This is old and new connections kind of being reestablished or formed. We see these connections are based on shared values. These connections are based on deeply fulfilling, deeply caring, very much in tune with one another types of energies. You get along with these people, you care about these people, you want to see them grow and succeed. You pour from your cup, they pour into yours. It's very give and take. It's very fair. It's a very functioning, loving, compassionate bond that usually the Two of Cups tends to give us. Usually with this also, you're going to use your surrounding cards because the Two of Cups, like I said, is not just romantic. Sometimes it's romantic. Sometimes it's familial. Sometimes it's a friend, a new friend coming into our life. And if this is a friend, they're going to be like your soul sibling. Other times it's a relationship. Sometimes it's a new partnership or a job or like a new business relationship. So keep your eyes out. Use your surrounding cards if you need more answers. Don't be afraid to ask for help or ask what the hell's going on. And go from there. Now, when it's in reverse, why did I put it like that? That is so weird. I messed up my notes so bad. It's this notebook is the Wild West, let me tell you. So, when this card's in reverse, we see self-love, a need for self-love, a time for self-love, making space for self-love. We see disharmony, we see mistrust, and unfortunately, the Two of Cups in reverse is a pretty big breakup card. It's very well known to be a breakup card. Now, when this card is in reverse, it is reminding you that you should, when you come from a place of self-love, self-respect, and self-acceptance, you will have more fulfilling relationships. Anyone who's a fan of Drag Race, we all know if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you supposed to love anybody else? And that phrasing I was never always the biggest fan of. But there is a point to it. You cannot love someone to the best, fullest extent without also loving yourself. Now, that doesn't mean you have to love yourself all the time. That doesn't mean you have to love yourself perfectly and without fault. It's not going to be perfect all the time. But when we love ourselves, we better love the people around us. And that sounds like a load of bullshit until you get there, and then it makes a lot of sense. I thought it was a load of bullshit until I got there. And I found that when I didn't love myself that much, I wouldn't set boundaries. I would swallow the poor behavior of my loved ones, and I wouldn't say anything because I didn't love myself enough to put my foot down and to say, hey, stop that, or hey, that hurt my feelings, or hey, please don't do that. And I just wouldn't communicate. And I thought that I was loving them and I was protecting them and I was, keeping things calm, keeping things peaceful, keeping things easy. And no, that's not what I was doing. What I was doing was denying my loved one the opportunity to grow, to be a better person, to be a better friend, which if I loved them fully away from my own self-dislike, I would have wanted that for them, even if it meant I had to be really uncomfortable. Because I was willing to be uncomfortable for the people I loved in a martyr situation. But being uncomfortable for the people you love, it takes a lot of courage to look someone you love dead in the face and go, don't talk to me like that, that was rude. And when you do that, you give your loved one the opportunity to grow. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe they let their temper get the better of them. Maybe they do that sometimes. And when you love yourself and when you set boundaries and when you do not tolerate certain types of behavior because you love yourself too much to be treated that way, it gives your loved one the opportunity to grow into a better, more patient, more communicative, more loving, less angry, more grounded, whatever it is type of person. You know, I had so many people who, you know, when I used to get mad, I used to be like a real yeller. And I had so many people who didn't put their foot down and stop that. And it wasn't their business to, it was my business to stop it. But I had so many people who like never set a boundary with me. They would let me yell at them. And I get it. I let a lot of people yell at me too, because I used to get really nervous around that. And then I started dating my boyfriend, and he was like, no, I will not be triggered, and no, you're not going to yell at me. And I stopped, and it made me a more patient, more caring, much better communicative, much less angry person. And it taught me how to funnel my anger in a healthy way. And I know he did it to protect his peace, but it was one of the best gifts he ever gave me, was not tolerating that, because it allowed me to focus and work on that. So when you love yourself, you love the people around you better. You enable them less. You give them more room to grow. And those relationships are more fulfilling. Yes, that also means you give them the opportunity not to grow and to reject your boundary. And that is painful and hard and scary. And it means that you will lose people. In my opinion, it does not sound like you are losing people of substance. So take with that what you will. Now, something that is important to remind ourselves with this card, that other times, if we don't love ourselves properly or enough, or even just a little bit in relationships, we will project that lack of love onto other people. And that can make us codependent, that can make us clingy, that can make us more isolated on the very opposite spectrum. That can like really cause some strain in our relationships. So it is definitely important that we take the time for ourselves. When this card is in reverse, it can also, like I said, signal a breakup or a falling out. It also means being out of sync. So if you pull this card in reverse, like if you and your relationship are on hard times and you pull this card in reverse, don't immediately panic. It doesn't mean you're immediately going to break up. Sometimes it just means that you guys are out of sync. Use the surrounding cards to tell you what's going to happen. You know, if you see a bunch of cards suggesting like, yeah, it's going to be awkward, but you guys got to talk, but you'll figure it out, then the Two of Cups in reverse is probably just telling you that you guys are out of sync and you just need to talk about it. If you have other cards like the Devil or like the Knight of Swords or like Death, then it might be time to break up. Or the Ten of Cups in reverse, it might be breakup time. But like, pay attention to your surrounding cards before you panic. So many people pull this card in reverse and they start, it's like, calm down, it ain't that serious. Oop, I just dropped, I keep, again, with the dropping stuff, good Lord. Next. Two of Swords. Oh my God. If you use this card in a yes or no, it's a maybe. It's a big ol' maybe. There's probably more information. You probably need more information, and that's probably why the Two of Swords is here. It's probably why you're getting your maybe. Now, on this card, we see this woman. She's blindfolded, obviously. This is meant to show confusion. She can neither see the problem or the solution. This is meant to show that you are missing relevant information. Woof. Big cracks. That's what that means here. Now, the two swords that she's holding, you'll notice they rest in perfect balance. This is her like weighing her ideas or weighing both sides of this situation. Now, all this water back here that's kind of behind her, these are emotions. These are your feelings. Like we said, water is always going to represent your feelings. This is the advice to use your heart and your head, because you know, the swords are our head. They're our thoughts. They're how we communicate. They're our logic. And look, the water's behind you. So her heart is backing her, but her head is leading. And I think that's really important with this. Also, she's got islands in the back. These are obstacles. This is meant to show that her choice is not as clear as she might think. You know, it's a clear day. or a clear night. You know, there's no clouds, there's no stars, it's very clear. And then the water should be clear. It looks mostly clear, but it's not. There's these things right here. It's not as clear as it seems. Just like going back to the blindfold, there's relevant information that she's missing and she needs. Now, the big crescent moon here, she needs to trust her intuition in order to make this choice. You can see the moon is leaning towards one of the swords. Like, she is trying to be like, oh, I'm so torn. I don't know. I can't pick between these two swords. I'm so torn. No, you're not. Look at that moon. Look at your intuition. Look at where your intuition is. Now, this is an important thing to ask yourself, and you'll know this. Ask your own interpretations. Ask yourself how you feel about the card. Is the moon here or is it going towards this one? Make a decision when you do the reading. For me personally, I view the moon as like pointing this way. And this is kind of how I see this. So like we might say that we're torn. No, we're not. Again, our intuition, we might not see it, so you might not know. You might genuinely feel torn. But if you were to really check in with yourself, you're not torn. Even on like a silly method, it's like, you know, when you sit there and you don't know what you want to eat and you're like, oh, I'm good for like tacos or sushi. And then someone goes, okay, let's do tacos. And you're like, oh, I wanted sushi. And like, then you realize the second the choice gets taken away from you, then you realize that's how this works. You do the thing of like, I don't really know. But if someone were to go, fine, we're going this way, you would know because you'd be like, oh, I don't want to. Like you would feel it pretty fast, even though before that decision was made, you might not have felt any type of way. You might have felt torn. So check in with yourself. Upright, if you can't already tell where I'm going with this, we see difficult decisions, weighing our options, feeling like we're at an impasse, and avoidant behavior. Usually with this card, you're facing a challenging decision, but you're unclear about what option to take. Weigh your pros and cons. Honestly, whenever I pull the Two of Swords, I usually right off the bat pull more cards because I probably need more clarification. Because again, there is relevant information that you are missing in this situation. So I start pulling cards right off the bat. I'm like, oh, okay, Two of Swords. What relevant information am I missing? And then I kind of go from there. Like I said, remember the blindfold. If you pull the Two of Swords for yourself, ask yourself, is the blindfold on? Is there more that you're not seeing? Or perhaps an even deeper question, if the blindfold is on, who put it there? Did you? Did somebody else? Why? Who benefits from you lacking information? And why is that type of person in your life? Or why are you selling yourself so short if you're the one who put the blindfold on? Ask yourself, are you trying to hide? You know, again, the Two of Swords is sometimes about avoidance. Are you trying to avoid something? What are you trying to avoid? Understand avoidance usually leads to bigger problems and greater conflict. You just have to make the decision. You just gotta do it. Like, you know, I've had so many people. God, I had one friend who was in a relationship and was really unhappy and wanted out, wasn't sure when to do it, ended up getting into another relationship before they were out of that one. And they kept being like, oh no, it'll be fine. I just gotta get like once his birthday, once we're past his birthday, or once Christmas is over, and it'll be fine. Like I'll handle it then. And I was like, girl, is it working now? I think it's working now. Okay, sorry, we had a little freak out. But I told her, I was like, the longer you let this sit, the worse this is going to get. Like, it's okay if you don't want to be in this relationship anymore. It's okay if you want to get gone. That's fine. But like, the more you let this bubble and ruminate, this is going to become a massive problem. It's going to. And you're like, no, it's fine. And was like really, really trying to be like, no, it's fine. I just gotta get, once Christmas is over. And I'm like, yeah, once Christmas is over, then it's your anniversary. What are you gonna do? Like, you're gonna keep doing this forever until you get caught. And then it's gonna be a nightmare when you could just break up with him. Like, you could just do that. So don't avoid it. Don't try to dodge it. Don't try to run away from it. It's gonna come. It's gonna happen. It's gonna hit. Make the decision. Bite the bullet. Just do it. It'll be faster and easier, and you will find better closure when you just kind of go through with it. Now, when this card's in reverse, indecision, confusion, information overload, big time. Stalemates. We also see stalemates. And also sometimes we see being stuck between a rock and a hard place. It feels impossible to make the right decision when we have this card half the time. We feel overwhelmed with other people's voices and other people's opinions and other people's thoughts about what we're supposed to do. And we probably need a break. We're probably really overwhelmed. And we probably need to separate from these people, take some space, listen to your own voice and your own intuition, and try to figure out where you sit, See the bigger picture. Also see other people's perspective and ask yourself maybe what their motivation is for giving you certain types of advice. Think about it before you get all tripped up. Next card. Two of Pentacles. It's another maybe. It is another maybe. Symbolism with this card. Let me get him. Why am I trying to do symbolism and put the card down? Symbolism. We see a juggler. This is meant to suggest he's able to do many things at once. He's doing a lot of stuff. It's hard. Also, this little figure 8 symbol that's being juggled, this is meant to show that he can handle an unlimited amount of problems as long as his time, his energy, and his resources are all in balance. You ever notice how, when we're dealing with a lot of stuff, those periods of time where it's just one thing after another, after another, after another, after another, right? The first thing might have been really huge and the last thing might have been really small. But we're going to handle that first thing very differently than we're going to handle the last thing. Because the first thing, we went into that situation, hopefully, with our time and our effort and our energy, our money, our resources, with everything where it needed to be. So it was stressful, it was bad, it wasn't a good time, but we handled it. By the time we get to the last one, because there is no way all of those things are in balance, we are probably going to freak out. Even if it's a smaller problem than the bigger stuff we've already handled, even if everything about it is not as serious as the other stuff that you have taken like a champ, if your energy, if by the time you get to this last problem, your energy's here, that just might be the straw that breaks the camel's back. So pay attention to those feelings. We also have some ships, some boats, and you can see they're riding the waves. This one's whoop, and this one's right in the middle of it. This is the ups and downs of life. This is meant to show how life moves through things, but as you can see, neither of these ships are sinking. As much as they're going on their weird little journey, neither of these ships are sinking. And that is meant to show that as much as these ups and downs can be pretty extreme, again, these are some pretty extreme waves, they are manageable with focus and attention and the right resources. So when we get this card upright, we see multiple priorities, time management, prioritization, and adaptability. You are juggling a lot with this card, a lot. And you are doing it well. This card also to keep your... Also, whenever we get this card, when you're doing well, it is a reminder that this is not magically happening to you. You are making it happen. Give yourself the credit, give yourself a bit of a high five. Now, when this card isn't being so excited, and when this card has slightly more negative meanings, I guess, it tells you that you need to take a break. It tells you that you are probably rushing things. And sometimes the most productive thing to do is to go to bed. And that feels like an oxymoron, but I can't tell you how many times I would stay up until 4 a.m. trying to write a paper and then go to bed and then wake up and then go read back my paper. And the last 2 pages that I wrote between 3 and 4 are completely unusable. And I just wasted time. And now I'm more tired because I'm running on less sleep. Whereas if I had called it at 2, gone to bed, and then woken up a little earlier because I would have had maybe a little bit more energy, I probably just could have busted out those last 2 pages while I was awake and it would have been fine and I would have been present and it wouldn't have read because it's 3 a.m. and I'm tired. But instead, I didn't believe that rest was the most productive thing to do and I ended up being less productive because of it. So pay attention to that when you get that message. This card also reminds you to stay focused. You might be trying to do too many things at once. These things can be done, but focus, be practical, get all your priorities kind of sorted out. It's going to be a juggling act. It's going to take work and you're going to have to kind of finagle it to make it do what you want it to do. Now, when it comes to when this card's in reverse, we see being overcommitted, being disorganized, and probably in really bad need of reprioritization. We could probably really use some of that. You are probably struggling to juggle everything that you are trying to juggle right now. Use your surrounding cards to understand why you are struggling to juggle things. Do you have a shitty support system who isn't coming through to help you right now? Are you taking on too many things? Is your hand in too many pots? Are you someone who doesn't know how to say no? It's really important to understand why are you so overwhelmed and why is there so much on your plate and how did we get here? Because if you don't understand how you got here, you're going to end up here again and you're going to be just as confused. So it's really important to ask yourself, how did I end up feeling so disorganized or struggling to keep everything afloat? What's going on with me right now? What things can I put down? What things can't I put down? Because let's be real, sometimes you can't. Sometimes that's just the way of shit and you just have to eat what's in front of you. And, if you can't, then you can't. But there probably are some things that you can. So make sure that you find ways to get balance and try to maintain your schedule. If it is overloaded, either you need better time management or that schedule needs to get adjusted. And neither of those things are fun sometimes, but that's usually what's kind of required of you in the moment. Also, when this card is in reverse, you could be over investing at the expense of others. Reassess your priorities. Nobody wants to be the parent that, never comes to the rehearsal because we're working, right? No one wants to be that parent all the time. Obviously we gotta sometimes, but you never want to. No one wants to be the parent that we all saw in the sitcoms who is always on their phone, always at work, even when they're at home, they're bringing work home. This is all of those things. It's really important to kind of check that out with yourself. Reassess your priorities. It can be hard, especially in the world we live in and what we're doing right now. I had a couple come in not that long ago, and one was a Capricorn and the other was a Pisces, and they were having a hard time because, the Pisces felt sad and unloved because the Capricorn was working a lot and overworking, constantly taking extra shifts, constantly doing overtime. And they didn't need the money that bad. So the Pisces was really upset. The Pisces felt like the Capricorn was avoiding them, or the Capricorn, more in love with work than they were in love with them. That was all the things that the Pisces was afraid of. Or using work to avoid them, because for that Pisces love language was quality time, and they weren't getting quality time. So they were feeling really unloved. Whereas with the Capricorn's love language was gift giving. So that Capricorn was working overtime because they loved that Pisces so much. They wanted to spoil their Pisces. They wanted to take them on vacations and buy them nice things and do all these nice things for them. And they couldn't do that if they weren't working crazy hours. And working crazy, they were like, yeah, I miss being around you, but how they showed they loved you was by providing. That was how they showed that they cared. And, you know, it was really sweet. And really all that needed to happen was they just needed to talk about their love languages and what they wanted from each other. But reassess your priorities. You know, that Capricorn, all they wanted to do was love their Pisces and spoil their Pisces. And once they realized that working like this wasn't, so that they could make that money, wasn't worth the presence in that Pisces mind, what the Pisces wanted was quality time, the Capricorn didn't work as many hours because, again, they didn't need to. It was, you know, they were home more. And the Pisces also learned how to not take it so personally when the Capricorn was working a lot because they like what they do. So reassess your priorities. You know, if you're working a lot of overtime to provide for your loved one because your priority is to love them, if that's not the way they want to be loved, be willing to change it, you know, because your priority is loving them, not what you're trying to do. So, like, be willing to let it shift. Don't be afraid to be fluid, especially with the Pentacles. Don't be stubborn. It's so easy to be stubborn with the Pentacles. You know, ask yourself, where do you want to put your time and energy? That's really important with this card. And stay true to your goals. Keep the focus up. Last card is the Two of Wands. Now, when you're looking at a yes or no, the Two of Wands is a yes in time. So similar to the Hangman. Yes, but not right now. Now, I keep doing this. I put the card down right before I go to talk about, like, its symbolism. So right off the bat, the world is literally in his hands. He's literally holding the world. There you go. You know, what else do you want me to say? The world's literally in his hands. That shows all the enormous potential that lies ahead of him if he can expand his horizons accordingly. Now, despite all of this, you can see, based on the battlements, he is still in his castle. He is still here. This is meant to show he is still in his comfort zone. He's still in his safe space. But look at where he's looking. He's looking out. He's making plans. He's planning on leaving. He's looking out. That's the whole point. Also, you can see here, he has wands. You can see one of them here he's holding. And this one's kind of going out. And again, that's his, like, forward, onward, like, type of energy. And then this wand here is attached. It's still in the castle. And this is meant to show he is not quite ready to leave. You know, he's still not quite there. But look at all these little sprouts. Look at all these little blooming ideas coming off of these. So even though we're waiting, stuff is still happening. It's, what's the Hamilton quote? I'm not standing still, I'm lying wait. That's kind of what we see here. It's kind of what he's doing. Also, we see this beautiful green fertile land that also has a lot of big rocks and big mountains waiting past the walls. So this shows there might be hardships and difficulty out there, but there's also opportunity and growth and room for new things. Now, when this card is upright, we see, you know, obviously future planning. It's all about looking ahead and all that stuff. So we see planning, we see progress, we see decision, and we see discovery. This Two of Wands takes the little spark of an idea, that little light, that little flicker that was in the Ace, and takes that little spark of intuition and turns it into clear plans and clear ideas. Explore your options, plan ahead. This is not time to be impulsive. Do not do that shit. I don't care if it's the wands, don't be impulsive. We're not doing that. This is, like I said, it's a card of discovery and beginning to leave our comfort zones. Let your passion and your intuition guide you. But at the same time, because we're in the planning phase still, consider your long-term goals. It's important that you make a choice that's going to allow you to explore your options and that's going to let you, like, step out and go places. You know, it's journey, it's expansion, it's growth, but again, not yet. You're thinking about it, which is why the Two of Wands has such a short description. I'm already done talking about the upright Two of Wands because you're not supposed to do any of that stuff. You're just supposed to think about it and plan and figure out where you want to go with it. So when you pull this card in reverse, because again, we rip through this card so fast. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. RIP headphone users. When you pull this card in reverse, what we tend to see are personal goals, inner growth, inner alignment. But we also see a fear of the unknown and poor planning, or a complete lack of planning altogether, like entirely. Now, draw your attention inward. That is so important with this card. Focus on your personal goals and consider the things that light you up. Go back to the drawing board, especially if you have recently made a change and you have walked away from something that is no longer in alignment with yourself. Again, go back to the drawing board, see how this all works out, see how this is going to go forward, see, now that you've removed this blockage, now that you've gotten rid of this thing that was out of alignment or this person that was out of alignment, how does this change your plans? How does this put more fire under your plans? How does this help them? Kind of like, really start digging into the meat of it. You may have a great idea, but again, you need to plan. Don't act on it. Now is not the time to get moving. Usually with the Two of Wands, I'm telling you to pump the brakes a lot because there's a lot of fire and energy and like go energy in the wand, so it's really hard. But now is brainstorm time. Now is not run off the cliff time. We're not doing that just yet. Also, if you are at a crossroads, ask yourself what it is you really want. Like, what you want, your passions, your desires, like screw other people's. What do you want in here? What are we kind of looking for all the way at the bottom? Now, something that's really important, also when this card is in reverse, don't deprive yourself of opportunities, people, and stories. So again, don't do anything yet with the Two of Wands, but when you go out there, when you act on it, when you go into it, don't be afraid, grab life and go with it. Oh yeah, I know, I wasn't live last week, which was weird. I was not here. It was my boyfriend's birthday, so I was not here. But that's gonna be it for the twos for today. We're gonna do the threes next week, so I'll see you guys next Saturday. You won't have to go 2 weeks without seeing my face anymore. So I'll see you guys next Saturday where we're going to break into the threes. So the threes are interesting. They're very diametrically opposed, I think is the best way to put them. The Three of Cups and the Three of Coins and the Three of Wands are very different than the Three of Swords. Before we've seen this thoroughfare between all four of them where like there's similar messages, but they're just pointed at different things or aimed in different directions. This is going to be pretty different when we get into the threes. So we will tap onto that next Saturday. But for now, I'm going to go. Thank you guys so much for poking in, and I will see you next Saturday to keep going into the minor arcana. Thank you guys for swinging by.